Yeah, hi there. These comments are for CG, and this is Michael, and thank you for completing my integrated writing practice test number 9. And let's take a look at it. So I'm going to take a look at your response, and then based on the IBT rubrics for the independent writing practice test, I'm going to give you a score. All right, let's take a look at the first paragraph. I think in your introduction, you talk about the 3 advantages of hybrid cars in the reading passage. I like that. That's pretty accurate. You have fuel economy, the environment. The environment, you might say cleaner greenhouse emissions maybe, and then improved battery technology. Not just battery, but say improved battery technology. And then you say in the next part of that paragraph, the lecture manual discusses the abuse of hybrid cars. I think that's false. That's not really what the lecture is saying. The lecture is presenting some disadvantages of hybrid cars, not just abuse of hybrid cars. So I think that is not really the right word that shows the connection, I think, between the two sources. Now, when you get to paragraphs 2, 3, and 4, you want to state the main point of the reading along with a detail, and then you want to get to the lecture counterpoint along with its detail. So you're saying in the reading passage it talks about fuel economy, consumers will get the most miles for their money, and driving far distances at a cheap rate is an option that many consumers didn't have in the past. That's true. However, when you talk about the lecture, I don't think you're really getting the main point of the lecture. Now, you want to look at your response, right? You should be looking at it on the internet right now. And I'm going to go over the listening passage with you right now. So I think the main point that the listening passage is making is that gasoline-powered cars are very competitive choices to the hybrid car nowadays. And the listening passage gives the example of the diesel car, the 2013 Volkswagen TDI, that gets up to 43 miles per gallon. So I think the whole point there was showing that a lot of gasoline-powered cars, they also have really, really good gas mileage as well. So, and you did say 20%, I think, in there, but I'm not sure that you really understand why the speaker said 20%. You say we save 20% if you drive on the freeway. Let's take a look at what it says in the listening. It says, the Ford has designed an EcoBoost engine that gives you 20% better fuel efficiency. Another example to show how gasoline-powered cars are competing very well with the hybrid counterparts. So unfortunately, I don't think you don't really have a good understanding of that first point, I think, in the lecture. Okay, let's go to the next paragraph. You say the lecture contradicts the point made in the passage that consumers feel that it can reduction of harmful gases that hurt the environment. Your grammar and your word choice is making it difficult for you to explain that first point from the second point from the reading. I think the point is, the reading passage is saying that because hybrid cars, you can get better gas mileage, it's a lot less harmful to the environment. That's what you're trying to say. And then you say, the lecture says it's not a good way to use a lot of gas. That's not really what the lecture is saying, unfortunately. Let's go to the lecture and see what it's saying. It's saying that I think the companies need to use electricity in order to make a hybrid car, right? So even though hybrid cars have greener technology in that they get better gas mileage, which is good, they still have to use electricity to manufacture or produce the cars. Now, in order to produce electricity, we need to burn coal, natural gas, and oil. And those things are hurtful for the environment. That was the point I think the lecturer was trying to point out, is even though hybrid cars are good for the environment, They're also bad for the environment because they need electricity in order to manufacture them. That was the disadvantage that the lecture was making, I think, and you didn't really point that out, unfortunately, in your response. Okay, let's go to the final paragraph. You say the passage argues that better technology for hybrid vehicles has significantly improved. Yes, very good. That's exactly right. You say the lecture maintains a different point of view. It's not true. The battery price was neglected. This is where you're kind of falling off the cliff again. The lecture's not saying that battery technology hasn't improved. The lecture is saying two things. The first point the lecture is making is the battery is heavy. It adds weight to the car when the battery is placed inside the car, so the cars actually don't get as good a miles per gallon as they say they do, because the weight of the battery makes the gas, it makes it burn more gas. So that's one thing that the lecture says. Now, the second thing that the lecture says is if the battery has to be replaced, the cost of the battery may erase all of the savings combined from savings in gas. So there's basically two things. The battery's really heavy, and if the battery has to be replaced, it'll be very expensive. Those are the two disadvantages that the lecture is talking about. And you didn't really bring those things up. So with your actual response, you do have a number of problems, and I think these problems can be addressed by doing a few things. I'll give you some suggestions in just a minute. Okay, first of all, how will you score? Yeah, I'm going to put you at about 2.0. 2.0 out of 5, or 14 points out of 30 on this particular practice test. So you simply were missing, quite frankly, you were missing too many of the key points from the lecture. So that's really one of the reasons why you got the score that you did. You have to have a complete and accurate response. You want to be able to demonstrate if you read something and if you listen to something, you're able to understand those main points from both the reading and the lecture. So I'm not doubting your writing abilities as much as I'm having some problems with your actual listening comprehension. So how do you solve these problems? I think you should be spending a lot of time right now between now and our final exam. You want to spend time in the listening section of my course. That's what I'd recommend for you. So when you get some free time, I know you got a lot of free time during the week, I'd recommend go through all of my listening lessons and all of my practice tests. You'll learn how to take better notes. You'll get good practice with academic listening passages, and then there's even 2 good lessons in there that will take you to some other websites to give you even more listening practice. So that's my recommendation for you, is to focus solely in the listening area of my course for the next few weeks, and that's going to help develop, I think, better listening comprehension proficiency for you. All right, CJ? Anyway, thank you for completing the integrated practice test, and keep up the good work. And don't give up. I know this is hard, but it takes practice, right?